All right, welcome to another episode of No Hold Time. I'm in a different seat today. Our friend Eric Robeson is off probably receiving his monthly package of Fiji water, and we've asked someone amazing to join us today, Rebecca Jones, president at Mosaicx, to step in and for sure more than fill his shoes. So Becky, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be an exciting set of topics we're going to talk about today. So,
is it Becky or Rebecca? I like this question.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I use that as a bit of a filter, Brian. So, my LinkedIn profile and all my emails and my signatures all say Rebecca, and I use that as a way to know like who's my friend or not. Mm-hmm. So, if I've gotten to know you and we're friends and we have a good rapport, then I'll say, hey, call me Becky. And that I use that as a filter. So if people pick up the phone and they call me on the phone and they say, hey, can I speak with Rebecca? I immediately know you don't know me already. So it's like a pre-filter.
This is a sales guy litmus test is what that is.
Yeah,
and
it
if
is.
they watch the podcast, maybe they'll figure it out. Just do a little bit of research, salespeople.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see who calls me.
Yeah.
See how my emails come through.
I have that same thing, but it's sort of different. When someone calls me Dave and we're not yet friends, I'm like, we're not there yet.
Not there yet.
So I call you David.
You call me Dave sometimes. You call me
accident.
D sometimes. And I'm cool. Like, if you're in, you can call me Joseph. Whatever. That's fine.
I feel like we're not in yet.
I felt like I was going to get yelled at right there.
Yeah.
Or I'm not a friend of yours. And it just kind of, I had to test
it hurt a little bit for a second. Yeah.
Well, look, we appreciate you joining us, Becky.
Sure.
We love your background. You know, we did some research, so you are our second guest.
Okay, only number 2. I'm hurt a little.
We had, one of our friends and amazing partners, customers, whom you know pretty well too, Grant Reevy on. That episode is not live yet.
Well, and certainly if you had to have someone come before me, I'm okay with it being Grant.
But by the time someone is listening, it'll be live. And we really enjoyed our time with him. We asked him about his personal life a ton and then talked about business as well. But look, we appreciate that you have background in contact centers, which I know helps you in your current role. But one of my favorite things that we talked with Grant about is it's just he has a big place in his heart for like whale conservation, and he volunteers and is a board member of a whale conservation division. I know that you spend a lot of time volunteering in the community, so I was hoping you could share some of that with us.
Sure. Giving back to the community and the people around me is really near and dear to my heart, and I really feel like I think helping others fills my cup. So as long as, every day we spend a lot of time with the people that we're working with and, that we pour out. And one of the things that pours back into my cup is volunteering. So I have a couple of friends who I run with pretty frequently. And in that circle of friends, one of the gentlemen had a young daughter many years ago who passed away of a very rare disease. And her name was Molly Johnson, and he started the Molly Johnson Foundation about 10 years ago. And what they do is really go out in the community for these families who have special needs children and provide services and maybe like housework or tools or resources for those families for things that insurance won't cover because it's really expensive, like medical expenses and all of that type of thing. And there is some, ad hoc extra insurance that might cover like certain services, but sometimes these families need special equipment or access ways in their homes and stuff like that. So I volunteer for that organization, and we raise a good amount of money. We're able to help as many families as we can, and that's generally locally, kind of in our regional area. And that means a lot to me, and to be able to just see like the direct connection of the work that you're doing with families and children who otherwise wouldn't have access to those types of resources or care. And in many cases, it really extends their lifespan. We worked recently with a family of a little girl who has a disorder which requires her to have, access to hot water baths and things like that, and we were able to provide those additional like spa specifically for her, and that really is helping to extend her life and have a better quality of life. So those things are really important. I'm excited and humble to be able to be a part of that. And then I also sit on the board of a foundation called FEAT, so Families for Effective Autism Awareness and Treatment. And that organization has been going on for about 20 years. And I'm really excited to spend some time with the families there. Autism is one of those sort of hidden disorders, and both of my children are on the autism spectrum. And so for me, it's like very close to my heart because I've seen when my children were younger, there were just really no resources locally, and it wasn't even really very well known that this was an affliction that children struggle with, and then of course into adulthood and all of these things. And the spectrum aspect of it makes it really difficult to diagnose and to treat because it's very symptomatic and different from person to person. And so being able to work with a whole host of communities and different services and to see how that access to resources and information really makes a difference in people's lives is like really, really cool. So
I want to take it back. I sense a little bit of an accent in your voice.
Oh,
David
no.
and I know you well, but you said locally. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Sure.
Just let's take it back a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
And that is Louisville. Other people may refer to it as Louisville, but they are incorrect. It is Louisville. Spelled what? the phonetic is Lulvull, right? So born and raised. And so the local community we serve for those resources are like Louisville, Southern Indiana, sometimes in Ohio or Nashville, in that area.
Very good.
Yeah.
Grew up, born and raised, never moved anywhere else?
Tried to move away several times. Tried to move to Denver, tried to move to Chicago a couple times, but I married a wonderful man who is very family oriented, and we've both have spent a lot of time supporting our families and our parents. And so, born and raised, still in Louisville, but a lot of traveling.
All right, serious question though. Could we get him to subscribe to this podcast?
Of course we can.
No,
yes.
We need subscribers.
Yes, we're all in.
Okay.
We're all in.
And we know that you listen to the podcast, so we have like 7 listeners. And in another episode we recorded, we found out that Brian's mom is one of the 7. So now we know 2 of the 7.
And now she's gotten a shout out in like 5 episodes if you count them all together at this point. So
I'll get my husband on board, and then we'll have 3.
Well, thanks for joining. Look, you can throw questions at us. Grant threw us some curveballs. We want you to feel at home here, just as part of the Whole Time podcast. And I'd like to transition into like why Mosaicx. I know you have that contact center experience, and also I love what you did. We've talked about this before. You supported a company that did outbound notifications for very sensitive subjects.
Yeah.
Why CX?
So, such a long story. I hate to even say how long because you don't want to date yourself,
we've all
right?
Done it. It's okay.
So I've spent decades working in and around like contact centers and service, and really almost the entirety of my career. And so, I'll start all the way at the beginning. I think it really gives me an insider's view to service, both like the service that you provide to your customers, as well as like the struggle that it is to run a contact center and to work in a contact center. I mean, I spent many years like being a contact center agent. So I know like boots on the ground all the way through leadership, and frankly, being a customer and a partner for those providers. So I've been in and around this space in every level, every relationship type that you can even imagine. And so to have an opportunity to come and work for a company that provides this service and finds itself at the intersection of like technology, customer experience, brand management, it was like a perfect fit and natural progression for like all of the experience I had leading up to that. So I'm loving being here. I joined Mosaicx in January of 21. It's been an amazing ride and worked with some amazing people along the way. So I'm really excited to be here. Taking maybe a step back on something that you mentioned, I did work for a prior company that does victim notification. And one of the things that was a little bit difficult for me when I first joined Mosaicx was like, well, great, there's this, this company and it's really awesome and it fits into my experience background, but like, what am I really doing? What is the like mission and purpose type of thing? Because the prior company I worked for, we did victim notification, and that really every day you kind of get up and know that you're a part of something that helps to save lives.
Deep thoughts.
Absolutely.
Right?
And there's a lot of like draw to giving back and helping others, which, fills my cup. And so that's really important to me. And to be frank, when I first joined, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like saving money. It's all about, the next dollar.
Yeah.
But I really quickly found one of the first things I did was not only spend some time with all of the people that I work with, the employees, but really learning who our customers are and what we do. And it was really easy for me to see how the work that we do here at Mosaicx, yes, provides an opportunity for companies to save money and to, get great containment rates and also manage their brand and provide service, all those things. But we really do some underlying foundational work in the healthcare space, and a lot of what we do with 988, that you've talked about with Grant, that affects such great work in the community. We do a lot of work that help to ensure great health care and give back in ways that are even broader than what I had an opportunity to do from a victim safety perspective. Mm-hmm. So it really does kind of resonate with me from a mission and purpose perspective. And so I think one of the great things I got to do when I first got here was start to help our entire employee base understand that what we do is more than just some technology that you put on a shelf and you don't think about. It's really about serving not only our customers, but the community at large that interact with the people, the companies that are our customers. So it's a pretty magical place that we get to play in. And for me, it really kind of comes back to that mission and purpose of like helping others and giving back. And that's a really fun place to work for a, for-profit company that does, works for companies that does good out in the world. So that's pretty cool.
And I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a few years now, and it fits your MO very well. You are very service-focused and people-focused. Yeah. I think we've talked about it, David, you and I, on several episodes before about why do we care about this business? Why are we still here? Why are we working in it? It's a similar piece. It's like, yeah, we may be answering phones and deflecting calls for agents, but let's be honest, that person that called had a problem and they wanted something to solve it, and we helped them solve it at the easiest way possible, hopefully. And that scale it by millions and millions a month, and then the stories of 988, that's amazing. The stories of healthcare, how we help with medication adherence, is amazing. I can see why you're in this business, because you are very focused, and it's a similar piece that I think most of us share in this company, is that we, I heard it at one point when I started here decades ago myself. It's just telemarketing. It's just not. It's not. There are stories and causes and people behind every single one of those interactions that we have, that you can either make it the best experience of the day in a bad situation, or you can make it a bad experience in a bad situation. And as we're all human beings, we want it to be good. Anyway, I can see why you're in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the spirit of helping others, in the spirit of like giving back, right? I think one of the best things that we do is really trying to figure out the best ways to make technology more human, more, comfortable in the engagement of that. And we know that, as companies continue to adopt the technology like ours, it's our responsibility to make it in such a way that it's easy to engage with, right? And I think that's one of the things that's so cool about what we do here is, we've done such an amazing job of understanding that intersection of like humanness and technology, and really building on the experiences in a cool way that serves the specific needs of our customers, and then subsequently like their customers themselves. So it's a really cool spot that we get to be in, and it makes me feel good about what we do and that we're giving back in a different way. It's not just a job.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a really cool position where we have, and you talked about it, like we work with Vibrant Emotional Health and what we do with 988, and Grant is an amazing partner because he'll push us to do more. And in our case, we're thinking, yes, let's create something that is going to help someone mentally, and then in turn, we've created this new thing that our other customers can leverage, right? And it started with helping someone, but now it's benefiting other customers and potential new customers in the future.
Can I take you, so same question. Why CX as the theme? What's your leadership style like for the company? I mean, the two of us know it very well, but
Sure.
You take, in my opinion, you take some of those same qualities when it comes to leadership too, but did I assume that right, wrong?
No, you're spot on.
That's a tee-up question.
Yeah, it was definitely tee-up. It was an easy shot.
Softball.
Absolutely. I very much fundamentally believe in being a servant leader, and I think, some people that resonates with, and some people, feel a little squishy about that because of the naming. But I'll tell you what it means to me is really understanding the people that you work with and helping them to be the best version of themselves, and sometimes that means like seeing a spark in someone that they didn't even know was there and giving them an opportunity to maybe stretch or expand in a different way. Sometimes that's about understanding like the roadblocks or challenges that, a person or your team have to like be successful, and working to remove those things so that they can be more successful. I think it's a very different style than some leaders, right, who want to lead directly from the front and kind of communicate things, and everything is down into the organization and we're going to do this type of thing. And I just don't really believe in that. I believe that, my responsibility is to be a part of the team and not on top of the team, and to make sure that I can understand what's going to help everybody be successful. Where's the best win-win for our customers, for our team, for our people, and how do we bring a culture to light that we all want to be a part of, right? I want to do amazing things that connect with my purpose and mission in life, and I want everybody else to feel that way too. And so really trying to make sure that we create a culture of growth and innovation and excitement that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, and when you came on board, it was different for me. I'm an old guy. You're a little bit old too, but not as old as me.
It's the gray hair.
We had worked as a development shop being, top down. You get orders, you go get it done. And so for a handful of us, old, grumpy people, we were like, what is she doing? Like, she needs to just give us orders and go do it. And I will say we have seen a positive change because of leadership from you with those types of things. Both models work. Like, they just do. We can debate on some of that stuff, but we have seen a culture change here, which is why the legacy tenure some of these folks is 15 to 20 years in some regards, right? Because we've all had experiences and chances to go do something else, and I will say, you can feel the leadership change here since you've been on the board the last couple of years.
Good. I hope that's in a positive way.
Positive, absolutely positive. I meant that with good intentions.
No, I'm glad to hear it. I do fundamentally believe that as we're growing our business and changing and staying, attuned to the market and giving everybody the best opportunity, setting a culture where people feel empowered and their voice matters and they can be a part of the solution is not only really engaging from an employee perspective. Like, I remember being in the contact center and being, a new leader and then a team leader. Like, I had all these great ideas, but I was new, or even if I had been there for a few years, it was hard to find a way for my voice to matter, right? And I was at the crosshairs of, what's happening with our customers and what's going on inside of our business, because I was hearing the training and all the new things. And I was listening and talking to all of our customers, right? And I was like, I have this great idea of something we can do better, But when as a leadership team, you don't give opportunity for those people who are literally at the intersection of your customer and your business, an opportunity to have a voice in how you're changing and how you're operating your business. It's a complete miss, and a complete missed opportunity to get better as a leadership team and as a business. So that is what really, really drives me, and making sure that everybody has a voice. Because if I were to just say, well, this is what we're going to go do, and everybody go do it, I'm not giving anybody an opportunity, to use their brain and to stretch and grow and feel like this is a place that they can learn new things and challenge themselves and all of that good stuff. But I'm also not giving people an opportunity to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
I also think it's a little assumptive when leaders don't listen to their team in a way, and I mean that, I guess I don't mean like listen, like let's give everybody an opportunity to talk, but I mean truly listen to the ideas that come from people and take into consideration those ideas and be open to like changing your mind and changing your direction. And I think what's one of the things that I pride myself on is, while I might go into a situation or, you know, a planning session with a pretty clear idea of where I want to get at the end of it, I always remain open to like change or different ideas, because I know I'm not the only one in the room with experience. You know, I know I'm not the smartest one in the room, and it behooves me to surround myself with people like yourselves who have different types of experience, and listen to that expertise, and then, you know, consider if I'm wrong, or maybe I need to make a different decision, or we need to come to the middle. And I think those things are really important. And frankly, if we're going to compete in the market and get better and grow, be successful in CX space, like we have to do that collectively with the collective expertise of everyone in the room.
Mm-hmm. I think we probably said this before, we tend to repeat ourselves on many of these episodes, but something you said earlier, especially with your experience being on the front lines, you learn how people are treated in the world by working on a contact center or serving food.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Or working in retail. Like, many of us have worked all of them.
All three.
And me too. And you see the darks and the lights of everyone's personalities in all situations. Anyway.
Absolutely. The best of humanity and the worst of humanity.
Absolutely. I want to ask kind of back to some of the things that you're working on with other organizations. So we've got some amazing partners, CCW, women's organizations, Women for Tech Up. Tell me, you've joined some of those groups in the last couple of years with our group. Has anything resonated with you from those teams? Have you, where, you know, I know you're speaking next week. Like, what are you kind of grabbing from being a part of those groups in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I appreciate your question. Let's see, there's a lot to talk about there. First of all, yes, I've had an amazing opportunity to work with CC Women. I think they have been really great. It's such an open community of women who operate in both the contact center space and in the technology space. And that's a hard role. I would just say, generally speaking, like, women in tech is a difficult space, right? And I find it empowering to listen to other, women in the space and talk about their challenges, not only professionally, but just day to day, like management or working in the space, and talking about challenges of their particular business or their leadership, or even like individual contributors who are trying to work their way in. It's both inspiring and, also humbling a little bit to hear that, okay, like, I'm not the only one who struggles with some of these things. So that's been really good, just to have a community of like-minded people who are in similar struggles. And these are women in all aspects and all stages of their career and ages and all of that kind of stuff. So for me, it's like a really great opportunity to learn too from, yes, other women in this space, but also different cultures, because it's a very global touch point, and different age groups and generations. So it's a really neat space. I get to contribute and give back, and that fills my cup. And then I get to learn from those other women. So that's cool. I am speaking at Tech Up for Women next week on Wednesday, which probably will be way past when this is published. But I'm excited to get out and speak with that group. And it's pretty cool to kind of come and talk, because we live in this CX AI, Gen AI space all the time. It's like kind of our lingo we throw around all the time. what was cool was they're like, we really need somebody to talk about generative AI. And I was like, oh, okay, great, no problem. This will be awesome, And so I get to like come and say all the cool things and, listen to people talk about all of their since marketing and HR and all different kinds of things. So that's exciting. And then here at West, since I got here in 2021, I was asked to lead the Women of West, Employee Resource Group, or ERG, and that's been a really cool opportunity because we are, of course, one of 3 business units. So the diversity and difference of experience and business focus and the verticals that people work in, generations, the cultural change, it's just extremely cool to get to work with people all different time zones. We have meetings at all different times, and that's been really cool just to get a sense of, yes, we're all under one umbrella, but we all do so many different things. Yep. And so to be able to give back and facilitate conversations about, important topics for women, it is really, really cool.
Is it easy to sign up for those groups? I'm just trying to think of who might be listening that might be thinking, how do I get into some of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So CC Women is affiliated with CCW, which is, a contact center organization. Sandy Coe is the kind of executive sponsor of CC Women. So certainly find her if you're in that CCW space. Amazing organization, free to sign up. You can go out to their website and hang out. Tech Up for Women, I believe, also has a website. And there's you go to the conference, sign in. There's lots of resources there. There's no obligation to join or participate and all of that type of thing. The ERG, you have to come and work for our amazing company. And so you check out our career page, come and sign up and work for us, and then come hang out. Everyone is welcome from that perspective. And frankly, it's not just women. And I would say even in the CC Women space, it's not exclusive to women. We certainly welcome our male allies to kind of come into that space. And I think that's always a really important opportunity to see different viewpoints and perspectives, right? You can't always be one hand clapping and just talking to yourself.
Yeah. So when you spoke in Las Vegas, I joined the breakfast that day, and it was great. That's an amazing group of folks, all with the same purpose. I liked your message. I thought one thing that I took away from your message at CCW Vegas was the fact you have mentors.
Yeah.
Sometimes leaders get into roles like your position and they may not do that. Tell me a little bit about that. Why is that important to you? What's the value brought to you? Because I've started to kind of think about it for myself, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. So a personal philosophy I have is 2 things. You really have to consider the circle of people that you keep around you. And of course, in leadership, there's always the people that work for you and there's your peers, but you also have to consider bringing people into your circle that have experiences that are very different from your own. And I mean that in a very probably different way than you would expect, right? I think it's important to bring people into your circle, meaning people that you ask advice of, people that you seek mentorship from, people that you just can have, conversations about your work life or your personal life. And you want to do that really intentionally. And I do that very intentionally. So I seek out people who are a different color than me, who have different, who are a different age generationally than me. I look for people that I feel have different backgrounds or experiences than I do, because I feel my life course has only, been able to sort of touch and engage with a certain subset of people. And if I can be intentional with getting different viewpoints or different perspectives, and it just helps me to grow and be a better person and understand different, situational backgrounds and kind of how people are raised and how they communicate and what's important to them. And, from taking it all the way to the other side in terms of customer experience, that's really the best way that you can serve your customers and your employees and your people, is to really understand what's important to them. And when you live in a microcosm or even an echo chamber, which can certainly happen in a leadership role, then your viewpoint of that is very, very small and isolated. So the more that you can have you can sort of diversify your exposure to the world, I think the better leader that you can be for your own team, but also the better human you can be out in the world as you're making decisions. So really focusing on like the circle, the people that you keep in your circle and who are your mentors or your sponsors, I think are really, really important. And people should be careful to be intentional about that, right? It's not just like find someone who looks like me or talks like me or, maybe one roll up or whatever that you want to go after. I think you have to be really intentional about that. So I have people in my circle today who are completely not in my field, who are, 20 years older than me, several people who are retired, who are different gender, different background, entirely. I have people in different continents, right, who I just make a point of having a conversation with periodically. I also have been very intentional to have much younger folks. So I've got a couple of people who actually are mentors for me, who are very, probably 20 years younger than me. So that I can just really understand, generationally what's important and how do I make sure I'm, thinking that through from a leadership perspective too.
I want to go back to Tech Up for Women.
Okay.
Because
I just realized I haven't been asking you all questions, so it's coming.
All right, good. No, because...
Curveballs. We got curveballs too.
Because, look, we're both girl dads.
Yeah.
True story.
And we've talked about...
And we point a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pointing in this podcast.
We're both girl dads, and so I had the opportunity to join you at an event in New York, and it was really cool because I wasn't thinking... Well, one, I was trying to understand from a woman perspective and the struggles and stuff, because I clearly work with a lot of women at Mosaicx, but also as a dad of two young ladies who love science and math and, at this point want to be like astronauts and engineers or whatever. But
amazing.
It's a really good resource for men too, because it helps you understand your colleagues, but also if you're trying to raise strong, smart, successful young ladies like we are, it was really cool just being there as a dad.
Cool.
And trying to learn some of the things that the amazing women were talking about at that New York event.
Extremely impressive.
And then talk to them like, hey, what was, let's take it back. You're clearly super smart. There was someone that was talking about like missile defense systems and stuff that went over my head, like literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
How did you get there?
Yeah.
What did you study?
Interest?
Yeah, how did that happen? And so it was really cool. Thanks for the opportunity for me to join you there. We started a new segment. You don't know this yet.
Okay.
And this just an easy
this?
question.
Okay, just checking.
What we'd like for you to share a positive or negative customer experience that the first one was a negative. You can go negative or positive. You tell us.
Okay. Well, I am definitely a, assume positive intent kind of gal. So I'm going to go positive. I actually talk about Starbucks. It's talking about a person who loves like experiences and, giving back and helping others, right? Like Starbucks has been great. When I first of all, I will say, I just said forever, I will never go to Starbucks. It's overpriced, it's overrated, like all these things, right? And then I run with these women and they are huge Starbucks fans and I was like, whatever, we'll go to Starbucks and do the thing, whatever. And the first time I went, they were like, what are you going to order? And I was like, I just, I don't drink coffee, so I don't know why I'm even going to Starbucks. So secret truth is I don't drink coffee. So we go and I'm like, do they have something non-coffee? And they're like, I don't know. And they're like, I think they have hot chocolate. I'm like, fine, I'll get a hot chocolate. And so like every, week or whatever, I'd be running with my friends and they'd go get their thing and I would get a hot chocolate. And, at first I was trying to figure out even like what to order. I was like, I just want like the biggest size they have. And they're like, that's a
large.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, a grande. I'll take a grande, right? Because that should be the biggest thing they have.
It's big.
Yeah. That is completely not the thing, right? So I had to learn the lingo.
I'm still learning that.
So I will kind of say there was a learning curve, there's an adoption curve. But once I learned the lingo, I was like, okay, this is great. And when I would go, it really only took like maybe 2 or 3 visits and they knew my name and we would go through the drive-thru, right? So I'm in the drive-thru And they'd be like, "Oh, hey, Becky, yeah, would you, you know, are
They're
you going to
in
get
the
this hot
circle.
chocolate?"
They're calling you Becky. They're in the circle.
Yeah, they were in the circle. And they were like, "Becky, do you want the hot chocolate today?" And I was like, "I've only been here 3 times, you know?" I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of wild." And I was in the car. So then first I was like, well, how do they know who I am? I was doing all the skepticism, like data, like, well, how do you know who I am? You know, all that stuff. And I realized they have a camera, on the thing. So they know my car. I'm probably like literally the only human who orders hot chocolate at a coffee shop, right? So maybe I was like a dead giveaway, like blonde girl in the car, ordering the hot chocolate, easy target. But I like the personalization, and I think that's what got me over the adoption curve of, all the nomenclature and the wonky different names of things or whatever. So that was the hook, if you will. So then I was like, oh, they care about me. They know who I am, right? But then it's like, okay, I'm also now paying like $4 for a hot chocolate where I could probably, have 400 of those things in for the same price. So why do I keep coming back? Well, as the years have gone by, of course, now they have an app and all that stuff. I think it's because they integrate in my workflow. So if I'm going somewhere, so first of all, if I'm traveling, if I'm going somewhere in a car, I can know ahead of time, where I'm going to be, and I can get on my phone and I can put my order in, on the app, and it's available, and I can choose, like, if I'm going to go in, do I have time to go in because I want to be social or want to get out of my car and have some fresh air, or I'm in a hurry and I need to be in the car. So I have optionality. It's customized to me. And then when I come through the drive-through, it's there right on my way. I have no downtime. I get what I want. I'm on my way, and I get to enjoy my drink. So yes, I'm paying infinitely more money for my hot chocolate than I would if I just made it at home. But it's customized to the way I want. It doesn't take any time out of my day at all. It's right on the way, and I get everything that I want. And then when I get in the drive-through, they're like, "Hey, good morning. How's it going, Becky?" They're making it seem friendly and personable on the way. And then the other side of that is now I've become loyal to the one Starbucks that's local to me because I think they know who I am, right? And so I come in and I know the manager's name now, right? So I come in and I can open the door now. They don't even know my car yet. I can open the door, and from the back of the counter, Eric, my local, Starbucks manager, will be like, "Hey, Becky, how's it going? Hot chocolate today? It's ready for you. I made it ahead of time. I didn't even order it on my app. They made it, like they started making it when I walked in the door. It's ready by the time I get over there." So one of the cool things that I think Starbucks has done a really good job on is finding the intersection between human and technology. They have the baristas that really make you feel like they're a good friend, rather than like someone who, you're just going through the McDonald's drive-through, for example. Sorry, McDonald's.
That's okay.
But that kind of gets you over the hump of the adoption curve of all the crazy lingo. But they've also have like great technology. Their app is smooth, it's easy to interact with, and it gives you the opportunity to customize your experience and have that be a part of your day-to-day workflow. So it's just, they make it easy.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's, when I think about that experience with Starbucks, it's very similar to what we're trying to get accomplished, right? We really are trying to find the intersection between humanness and human experiences that we have every day when we need support or we need to engage with companies that we work with, and using technology to get that done and make it a better experience. You have some people who don't want to talk with other service people. They don't want to talk to a human. They just want to work through the technology and, get something done in an app or on a phone or virtually or whatever. And you have other people who would prefer to have more of a human experience. And I think Starbucks has found a really good intersection between those things.
I'm going to steal that, by the way.
Yeah.
The integration of your life flow or life cycle.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'm stealing that.
Also, like while you were talking about that entire experience, I was like that movie where the guy has like the epsilons and the pi signs, just like thinking all of these things.
Isn't that in Vegas? Yeah.
Because I mean, like, look, your physical customer experience is personification of what we do, right? Like
Yeah.
your car in the drive-thru for me is like that person's telephone number.
Yes.
Like they call, I know your number, and it's, hey, last time you were here, you had a
That's
I know
right.
you, I remember you.
Trenta hot chocolate.
Exactly.
Is that what you want again? You're like,
By the way, are you still drinking hot chocolate?
Yes.
We didn't switch to coffee today?
No, I don't drink coffee
All right. Just
at all,
checking.
ever. I
It's
hate
12 degrees out today, so I just want to make sure. By the way,
hot chocolate.
it's hot chocolate though.
you are not the only one that drinks hot chocolate, because I was in Florida yesterday and hot chocolate there was a little like coffee stand and it was going out the door all over the place.
Was it a 5-year-old kid drinking hot
It
chocolate?
was grown adults.
Okay.
But was that a hot chocolate stand or a coffee shop? I think I'm the
It was
only
a
person who
coffee-
drinks hot chocolate at a coffee
coffee
shop.
Catering business for the event I was at.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, before we wrap,
All
we'll
right.
give you the opportunity to ask us any questions if you have.
All right, I'll
can
shoot.
pass.
So you guys both said you're girl dads,
Mm-hmm.
and I spend a lot of time supporting women and their growth. So other than raising amazing, strong young women, what else do you do to support women in and around your community or the workplace or outside of it?
Do you want to go first? I have one, but
Sure, I can go. I have been lucky enough. I've worked here a long time, and almost, I would say, almost all of my superiors have been women. So I've actually had a lot of great influences in that space, and amazing people, amazing people. I mean, even when I started on the reporting team, fresh out of school, female supervisor, female boss, female lead. I'm a coach. I think you are too. I like coaching the girls on the team. I was an only child. I have a half sister. She's older than me. We didn't live together, so I didn't have a ton of female. And my mom's not the most girly girl. I love you, Mom. I promise. So I didn't have a ton of that in my life. And I think we had a work event. I'm badgering at this point. We had a work event here years ago, and they gave us $1. They said, "Here's your icebreaker. Take the $1 out. You got to buy something that represents you." And I scratched my head, and I was like, "Man, what is it?" And I found hair ties. And I said, "I'm going to do this because my life now revolves around my daughters and my kids." And I try to I travel a lot, but I try to make it home for every event. I'll come home at 1:00 in the morning if I can make it to the morning, events. I'm terrible with hair. They know that, but I'll give it a shot if you need help. But I try to empower them. And my oldest is a beautiful teenager. Teenage girls are another animal that I'm still learning how to work with. And
Yes.
I think a lot of the times, you're driving me insane.
Yes.
And then I also think, man, I really want you to be that strong
yeah.
fighter that you are with everyone else, just not dad all the time. Like, so it's this balance. Anyway, I probably didn't give a great answer there, but I feel that in my
great.
life every day that I
awesome.
have that piece.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, I coach the both girls soccer teams, and they both play Saturday mornings, so we're like sprinting back and forth. But I think really what outside of coaching them, and that's a hard job in itself, especially because one is 5 and the other one is 7.
Yeah.
But is coaching them in a way that helps them deal with other things in their life. And I just had a really funny experience with Penny, my 5-year-old. She had strep throat, and she was sick, and so she's like, "Hey, I want cereal for breakfast." And I'm not the cereal person. I would rather cook them something, but she wasn't feeling well. I'm like, "Well, milk is not a great idea because your stomach has been sick." And she moves the plate aside and she goes, "Poppy, I know my body." I was like,
Yeah.
This is great.
okay,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
we're doing it right.
Yes.
I think
that's
we
awesome.
both can also attest we have amazing wives who are fighters and supportive and all the above. And so we have great role models in our family to do so much amazing things. And I think that's great too.
Awesome. All right, last question for me, and then or maybe something funny there. We'll see. Maybe last question. On a more serious note, one of the topics with many of the like coaching circles or mentor groups that I join, or even the women's engagement or in employee resource groups or, all those spaces that we talk a lot about is imposter syndrome. And I think there's a broad assumption that imposter syndrome is something that just women, deal with, right? And I do talk a lot about how I've struggled with that a lot in my own career, my own life. And something we didn't talk about a whole lot here, but I come from extremely humble background, really poor, and kind of struggled and, just have taught myself and built myself into who I am today. But with that, you kind of have like a bit of imposter syndrome that comes along with, it's like, I'm not good enough to be in this space. Mm-hmm. And there's a constantly like, when's the other shoe going to drop, and that type of thing. And it really affects your confidence and how you present and your ability to think that you can move into the next level. Like you want to, but you're not sure you can, so you wait back. And in those circles that I talk with and supporting other women in their career growth or what have you, or even men or other employees, if I'm coaching, I talk to them a lot about, from a career perspective, if you see a job opening you're interested in, don't wait until you think you can check every box, for example, right? And women, one of the reasons why I use it as an example when talking to people is women tend to like wait until they think they can do 100% of the job description beforehand. And men tend to just like, if there's 2 things on the list, they'll go ahead and apply for it, right? I say all that to say that imposter syndrome is something that I do speak a lot about. And I talked at my speech about this a lot. And I was just curious, for you individually, have you all, just to normalize this topic a little bit, right? I'm curious if either of you have felt that imposter syndrome. And if you have, if you don't mind either, sharing a little bit about how you overcome that or how you work with it, or if that has been an experience for you, because I think that there's a lot of assumption out there that this is it's just a women's thing, and I don't think that's true. Yeah. In fact, I know it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, I can jump in. So one, I read that story too. Like whenever I found out I was having a daughter, I started doing all of the research. How to raise a daughter, how to raise a strong daughter. And that's one of the things I learned, that women will wait longer to apply for jobs versus men. So I read that one too. And mine is not a gender thing. It's like a cultural thing for me. And same thing, humble beginnings, grew up in South Texas. English is not my first language. But I went to school, amazing school, DePauw University, and it's traditionally not very diverse, or it was at that point. And for me, it was diversity, because growing up in South Texas, everyone is Hispanic. And so going somewhere where there were like few Hispanics was diversity for me. But there are a significant amount of people that are very well off that go to the school. And I wasn't. DePauw did a great job of getting me grants and scholarships and student loans that I'm still paying for. But that made it so that when I graduated, and my friends are all, for the most part, not my color, not my background. And so, best friends, amazing relationships, but I often think like I'm out of place. What do I need to do to, like, am I in the wrong place? I need, who do I speak Spanish with other than my daughters, which is great because I'm building my space and my girls speak Spanish with me. So I don't know if it's something I've been able to fix. It's definitely something I feel, because I'm in a different place than where I grew up physically. I'm not in Texas anymore. I'm in North Carolina. But also the people that are around me are different than me. And I will tell you, in the last few years, my circle has diversified in an amazing way. And I think that has made me feel better, because I have people that are now in a similar place in their lives that came from a different place. So I'm like, we resonate, and that's been a help for me, but it is definitely something I struggle with.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I think it really helps to normalize that this is something that lots of people experience, and it's different for every person. It shows up differently for every person. And I do think that when one of the things that I talk about, and you just kind of mentioned that when you can see other people who are like you, in whatever way that means, right? Because that could mean a lot of different things for different people. When you see someone who is like you, that you has similar labels that you use in your own head, be successful or talk about overcoming challenges in ways that also resonate with you, it feels like A, you're not alone, and that B, it gives you the courage and hope that you can, overcome yours too. Yeah. So I think that talking about these things are really important because it starts to normalize that you're not the only one, both you individually and others who, would resonate with your, yourself and your situation.
Identity,
yeah, absolutely.
I have a similar story, but I'm going to divert it at the end there. So
sure.
I grew up probably middle-class, white, male America, right? And some of the schools in Omaha, if you go north, are primarily black, lower-class income, but the schools have amazing grants, monies, programs, etc. So many of us chose to go take a bus to go to that school, and we were the minority as white males, different from what I was used to my whole life. I grew up culturally, I think, being in that environment, similar, but just different. Where I tend to have my imposter syndrome kind of ideas and thoughts has been, before I got into sales, I was doing this job. I just wasn't getting paid for it. I shouldn't say that. I was getting paid for it, just not on the level that sales had, right?
Sure.
And so I had always wondered, could I ever do that position? Could I, I started out in the ranks. I worked my way through every probably job except hands to keyboard coding here. Could I be in a sales role while all these amazing alpha male, female people were doing this? Mm-hmm. I wasn't that guy. I always was kind of a leader in the space, but I was quiet as only child. I kept to myself, and some of those assessment tests say, Billy, Susie may walk into a room and know everybody. Brian's going to walk into the room and know that person and only that person. And that was just my mentality. So walking in front of a crowd of people and folks, I was always like, I don't need to do that. That's not my world. So even when I talk to C-suite folks, because I get a chance to do it quite often in my spot today, there are always thoughts and doubts. Like, these guys got here for a reason, and I'm just this lowly sales guy. And I have to almost walk myself through a path, and sometimes I have to take a lap around the building just to get myself up, because sometimes the adrenaline is running, and that's where I think my imposter syndrome is. It's the funny thing is I jumped out of a plane for my birthday a month ago, and I get more nervous sometimes on sales calls than I did at that point in my life, and I have to think about to myself, you got this, you've done it for years now, like you know what you're doing, this is how it works. But it's that constant voice right back here that says, you were an idiot in Omaha, Nebraska for years and years. Like, you can do this stuff. Like, that's my story.
I appreciate you sharing that. Sometimes it's really hard and vulnerable to share that. So thank you for that. And it completely resonates with me. It makes me nervous sitting with the two of you talking about things that I know are going to be personal and that I can't control what you ask me. But yeah, every time I get up and speak with our teams, every time I get up and speak in front of an audience, I do have a lot of that in the back of my head too. It really resonates with me. And I have to come back to, be who you are and speak your truth and, try to do the best job you can. And that's what's got you here. That's what's going to take you to the next space. Yeah. So I think that's awesome. And I appreciate both of you sharing, because there is this assumption, particularly in circles with women, that it's just women who struggle with imposter syndrome. So I think, helping to normalize that lots of people, everyone struggles with self-doubt, effectively is what that is. And giving ourselves lots of tools to work with that is the most empowering thing that we can do. So thanks for sharing that. Last question, lighter note. What do the two of you, that's a heavy thing we all deal with, right? And also we have a lot on our plate and we're doing some exciting stuff, and you are both very busy people. So what do you do to blow off steam or relax or whatever? And before I ask you that, I'll tell you what I do. So super busy, stressful job, right? I run to kind of bring my stress down, and I do a lot of like solving all the world's problems while I run. So I've been known to run in the park by myself and like yell and scream and talk to myself. So if you ever see like a crazy blonde girl,
please, someone record that.
Yeah, yelling in the wood. I wait until I'm deep in the woods in the park, and sometimes I just like will like kind of shout out a visceral yell, and it is the most cathartic thing in the world.
I believe it.
So that's pretty cool. I do that for de-stressing, and I do some yoga in the morning and meditate. So try to quiet my brain for the day and kind of get ready for what's to come, and then I run as much as I can. So that's what I do. How about you guys?
You go.
Mine is music. Music is my happy place, and we lived in Austin before Charlotte, and then Chicago before then. 2 amazing live music cities.
Awesome.
Charlotte is not there yet, but I try to go to concerts. I love taking my girls to them. My girls will be able to say that their first ever concert was the Avett Brothers at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is awesome. But yeah, I have two bucket list musicians musicians/bands that I've never seen that I've always wanted to see, and they're very different, but this summer I'm going to check one of them off. George Strait is going to be at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, and my wife and my brother is coming down. So music is my de-stressor, outside of like being on the field coaching the girls, like my personal thing, it's music.
That's awesome.
I work out quite often. In fact, even with my wife in the mornings, we get up at, the gym class starts at 5 a.m. some days. So that tends to be when I turn my brain off a little bit and just kind of go. I like to play golf in the summers. Can't play it right now, so that tends to be my summer getaway because it's 20 of our friends and we all just yell at each other the whole time.
That's fun.
And then weirdly enough, like in the last couple of months, music bingo in Omaha has become a thing. Like, so we'll drop our girls off at tumbling and cheer practice and all this stuff, and we'll go to a bar, and there'll be 75 people in there playing music bingo. And the guy just has a phone, and he plays a song, and you have to check the music bingo off, and have a beer, and just hang out and play music bingo. It's an hour, but it's been fun. It's just, we laugh about it, and we sing 30 seconds of a song, and it's...
Can we find one tonight?
Music bingo. I've never even heard of this.
It is a thing now.
I have no idea. So I just have to say, like pickleball, which I get is a whole like phenomenon now, right? But when it was the folks in Omaha who were talking about pickleball before anybody I knew at home was talking about it, and now music bingo. So if in 6 months from now everyone I know is playing music bingo, I'm gonna start triangulating that like all the cool stuff starts in Omaha and spreads.
I did play music bingo at an event in Hilton Head, South Carolina in December. So I don't think it's only local to Omaha, but it's becoming a thing now. And every bar in Omaha has it like every other night. So some group here started it.
Let's find one tonight.
And it's you win a free appetizer if you win a bingo. Yes. It's fun. Anyway, we should probably wrap. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. This was really, really awesome. Yeah. We really appreciate you. We're going to bring you back.
Sure. Love to do it.
We're going to do this again.
Let's do it.
David, thank you. Any last notes?
No, Becky, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, you guys.
Mosaicx.com/podcast. Check out all the events. I'm pointing again. YouTube, Spotify, wherever you find us. Please like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Just received an email from one of my favorite brands. Fred Perry.
Trying real hard.
I think we try real hard about every episode to get a sponsor. It doesn't